Solar panels are not the most efficient way to harvest energy from the sun, not even close. A curved sheet of polished aluminum, no cells, no inverters, no silicone, no grid tie-in, can heat water to over 200 degrees Fahrenheit using nothing but focused light. It costs under $50 to build, it has no moving parts that wear out, and the physics behind it are so simple, so brutally effective, that engineers proved it worked in the 1860s, over a century before the first rooftop solar panel existed. This is the parabolic trough solar water heater, and if you heat water in your home, this changes everything. Here's what the modern energy industry sold you instead. An electric water heater, a tank full of water wrapped in thin insulation, heated by a resistance coil, essentially a giant toaster running 24 hours a day. That's accounting for roughly 18% of the average American household's energy bill. That's not a rounding error. That's a significant monthly payment every month for your entire life for the privilege of having hot water. Some people upgrade to a heat pump water heater, smarter, more efficient, but still grid-dependent, still a black box of compressors and refrigerants, still manufactured in a factory, still requiring a professional when something goes wrong. Solar thermal panels exist too, evacuated tube collectors, flat plate collectors, but a quality system installed on your roof runs $3,000 to $8,000 before labor. Most people never consider it. But there is actually a way to harvest the sun's heat directly, with a geometry lesson and a trip to the hardware store. In 1866, a French mathematician and engineer named Augustin Mouchot stood before the Paris Exposition and demonstrated something that stopped crowds cold. He had built a large cone-shaped mirror, polished to a brilliant shine, that focused sunlight onto a small boiler at its center. That boiler produced steam. That steam drove an engine. In the middle of a public square, in the middle of the day, he was running a machine on nothing but sunlight and geometry. Mouchot had spent years developing solar concentrators. He published his foundational work, La chaleur solaire et ses applications industrielles, Solar Heat and its Industrial Applications, in 1869. He built solar-powered printing presses, he cooked food, he distilled alcohol. He demonstrated with physical hardware that concentrated sunlight was a serious industrial energy source. The French government funded him. They sent him to Algeria, where the sun was stronger, to scale the technology. He built larger and larger concentrators. The results were extraordinary. And then cheap coal arrived. Cheap, abundant, politically convenient coal from newly industrialized mines flooded the European market. The government funding evaporated. Mouchot's work was quietly shelved. His geometry, however, was perfect, and it still is. The parabola, that specific curve, has a mathematical property that engineers have relied on ever since. Every ray of light that strikes it, regardless of where on the surface, reflects to one point. One point. All the energy concentrated. Mouchot understood this. He built it from copper and polished metal by hand in the 1860s. You can build a version of it this weekend. Let's talk about what a parabolic trough actually does, because once you understand it, you'll never look at sunlight the same way. Sunlight arrives at Earth's surface carrying roughly 1,000 watts per square meter on a clear day. That's the raw input. A flat surface, a regular solar thermal panel, captures whatever hits it directly. What you see is what you get. A parabolic mirror doesn't work that way. Think of it like a funnel for light. Imagine holding a large funnel under a rain shower. The funnel mouth is wide. It collects rain across its entire area, but all of that water gets squeezed down to the narrow spout at the bottom. The flow rate at the spout is far higher than the rainfall at any single point on the funnel's surface. A parabolic trough does exactly this with light. The curve of the mirror collects sunlight across its full width, say 4 feet, and focuses all of it onto a single line, a pipe running along the focal point of the parabola, a pipe that might be only 1 inch in diameter. You've just taken 4 feet of sunlight and squeezed it onto 1 inch of pipe. That ratio, the width of the mirror to the diameter of the target, is called the concentration ratio.
A modest trough with a 48-inch aperture focusing onto a 1-inch pipe has a concentration ratio of roughly 48 to 1. That means the pipe is receiving 48 times the solar intensity of an unconcentrated surface. At 1,000 watts per square meter incoming, a 4-foot wide, 6-foot long trough is intercepting roughly 2,200 watts of solar energy. Focus that onto 1 inch of black copper pipe, and the pipe heats fast, very fast. Water flowing through that pipe can reach temperatures of 150 to 212 degrees Fahrenheit or higher with a good selective absorber coating without a single electron of grid electricity. The pipe is painted matte black. That's not incidental, it's physics. Black surfaces have a high solar absorptance, meaning they convert incoming radiation to heat rather than reflecting it. Pair that with a glass or polycarbonate cover tube around the pipe to reduce convective heat loss, and you have a system that holds its temperature even in cool ambient air. This is not complicated. It is geometry plus material selection plus physics. All three were understood in the 1860s. All three still work today. Let's be precise about what this actually delivers, because the numbers matter. A flat-plate solar thermal collector, the kind sold commercially, typically achieves a collection efficiency of 40 to 60% under ideal conditions, and its output temperature is limited. It struggles to exceed 140 degrees Fahrenheit in real-world installations because it loses heat across its entire flat surface. A parabolic trough, by concentrating energy, routinely achieves fluid temperatures of 150 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit in small DIY builds. Commercial parabolic troughs used in utility-scale solar plants operate at 750 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, driving steam turbines that power entire cities. The geometry scales, the physics don't change. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, has published extensively on solar thermal technology and consistently notes that concentrating solar thermal systems achieve higher working temperatures and longer operational lifespans than photovoltaic alternatives for thermal applications. Heating water with electricity generated by a solar panel is roughly 15 to 20% efficient from sunlight to hot water. Heating water directly with a solar concentrator operates at 60 to 70% efficiency. You're not converting sunlight to electricity to heat, you're converting sunlight to heat directly. You cut out the middleman entirely. For a household that spends $50 per month heating water, a properly sized parabolic trough system can realistically offset 60 to 80% of that load during sunny months. Build 2 troughs, offset more. The hardware cost, polished aluminum roll, copper pipe, wood or steel frame, polycarbonate tube, runs $40 to $80 for a single unit. Payback is measured in months, not years. The math is stark. You're not buying efficiency, you're buying physics.
So, if the physics are this clean, the efficiency this high, the materials this cheap, and the history this proven, why isn't this on every south-facing wall in the country? Why are we collectively spending billions of dollars heating water with electric resistance coils when a curved piece of aluminum and a copper pipe can do it better for $50? That is the right question, and the answer is not complicated. Solar thermal technology, not just parabolic troughs, but flat plate collectors, thermosiphon systems, breadbox heaters, had significant momentum in the United States in the 1970s. The oil embargo created urgency. Federal tax credits were introduced. Thousands of systems were installed. Research accelerated. Then, in 1985, the federal solar tax credit was allowed to expire under the Reagan administration. Almost overnight, the economic calculus for solar thermal installation changed. The industry contracted sharply. Research funding shifted. The institutional memory began to fade. But the deeper issue is structural, and it predates the 1980s. Solar thermal water heating is a technology that, once installed, produces heat you do not pay for. You buy the hardware once. The sun runs the system. There is no fuel to sell you. There is no monthly meter. There is no proprietary replacement part with a manufacturer's markup. There is no service contract. Utilities sell electricity. Gas companies sell gas. Water heater manufacturers sell appliances and replacement elements. Plumbers charge for installation and repair. All of these industries have a vested interest in a hot water solution that keeps you dependent on their recurring products and services.
A copper pipe and a curved mirror threatens every one of those revenue streams simultaneously. This is not a conspiracy. It is a straightforward economic reality. Technology that cannot be metered does not attract investment from companies whose business model depends on metering. It doesn't get lobbied into building codes. It doesn't get featured in home improvement retail stores. It doesn't get a Super Bowl commercial. It gets quietly set aside, and most people forget it ever existed. Building codes in many municipalities complicate solar thermal installation further, not through outright bans, but through permitting requirements designed for large commercial systems that make small residential DIY builds legally murky. Homeowners association rules restrict rooftop modifications. Rental housing offers no incentive for landlords to invest in tenant energy savings. The friction is not accidental. Friction protects incumbents. Distill it to one line: no industry profits when you build one of these yourself. Photovoltaic solar panels are pushed hard by installers, by utilities offering net metering programs, by manufacturers, because they require silicon wafers, inverters, racking systems, and grid interconnection agreements. They keep you a consumer of a supply chain, a sophisticated, admirable supply chain, but a supply chain that someone profits from at every step. A parabolic trough made from hardware materials harvests the same sun and delivers more usable energy for your actual daily need, hot water, at a fraction of the cost and complexity. But no one makes it when you build it yourself from a YouTube video. We traded a 70% efficient thermal system for a 20% efficient electrical system because the latter was easier to monetize. That trade happened without your vote.
Here is exactly how to build a functional parabolic trough solar water heater. One unit designed to preheat water for a standard household. Materials: 1 roll of polished aluminum flashing, 20 inches wide, approximately $25 at any hardware store. 1 half-inch copper pipe, 6 feet long, under $15. 2 sheets of 4x8 polycarbonate corrugated sheet for the frame backing or repurposed plywood. Black high-temperature spray paint rated to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, Rust-Oleum makes one, under $10. 2 end caps and basic compression fittings for the pipe. Garden hose fittings to connect to your existing water line. The build: cut your aluminum flashing into a parabolic curve. The shape is critical. Not a circle, not a semicircle, but a true parabola. Download a free parabola template online. The Solar Cookers International Wiki has printable templates for multiple aperture sizes. Print, trace, cut. Attach the curved aluminum to your frame with the reflective side facing inward, toward the focal line. Mount your copper pipe along the focal line of the curve. Paint the pipe matte black before mounting. The pipe sits at the point where all reflected light converges. The one rule you cannot break: the pipe must sit exactly at the focal point. Too close or too far, and the concentrated light misses the pipe entirely. Most parabola templates include the focal distance calculation. Measure twice. Connect the pipe in series with your existing water heater. Cold water enters the trough first, exits preheated, then enters your water heater tank. On a clear day, the water entering your tank may already be at 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Your electric or gas heater barely fires. For cold climates, use a closed antifreeze loop, food-grade propylene glycol, with a small heat exchanger coil inside your tank. This prevents freeze damage. The Solar Fire Project, an open-source solar thermal initiative, has detailed cold climate schematics available free online. A single 6-foot trough costs approximately $50 to $70 in materials. Build 2 in parallel, and you have a serious system. Build 3, and you're covering summer hot water needs almost completely. This is not a universal solution, and you deserve to know that. A parabolic trough requires direct sunlight. On overcast days, output drops dramatically. It is not a replacement for your water heater. It is a preheating system that reduces what your water heater has to do. In regions with fewer than 200 sunny days per year, the economics stretch. The trough needs to face south and ideally be adjusted seasonally. The sun's angle changes from summer to winter, and a fixed trough optimized for July will underperform in December.
Manual seasonal tilt adjustment takes 10 minutes twice a year and recovers most of the loss. Automated tracking systems exist, but add cost and complexity. This is not a weekend afternoon project. It's a half-day build followed by careful plumbing integration. If you're not comfortable with basic plumbing connections, bring someone who is. And this is permanent infrastructure. The aluminum will last decades. The copper pipe will outlast the house. You're not buying a gadget. You're installing a system.
A lot of what this channel covers was nearly lost, not because it stopped working, but because the industry moved on to something more profitable to sell you. If rediscovering the lost art of high-performance, decentralized energy matters to you, subscribing and sharing is the simplest way to make sure this kind of knowledge keeps being found. And if you want to see how a rocket mass heater can warm an entire room for an entire winter using nothing but a handful of sticks at 1/10 the fuel of a conventional wood stove, then you need to watch our video on rocket mass heaters right here. The physics are just as brutal, the history is just as buried, and the build is something you can start this season.